The NFL finally just dropped their decision on Jalen Carter, and Philadelphia fans are gonna love it, while Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs might appeal the decision themselves. Plus, Howie's latest move is a lot bigger than you think, but some say he's not done, as a star cornerback might have just become available. Oh, and the Eagles are eyeing a familiar face and might have found a surprise superstar in the making. From Thomas Mott, this is the Thomas Mott Show. Philadelphia might play the 0-1 Chiefs in less than 5 days, and Howie Roseman might have just made yet another big trade, but none of that matters in terms of the news, because Jalen Carter's spitgate decision has finally come to a conclusion, now 5 days since the incident occurred on opening night versus the Dallas Cowboys. It sounds like Eagle fans are going to be absolutely thrilled with the verdict. Also, the winner of the Jordan Spector Art Saquon Barkley painting is happening at the end of today's show, so stay tuned for that, and drop a like down below because I'm working on an exclusive promo code for the rest of his work coming soon. Now, here we go. The official report from Adam Schefter on Tuesday afternoon, quote, NFL is fining Eagles defensive tackle Jalen Carter $57,222 for spitting on Dak Prescott. The league also says the game he was ejected for will serve as a one-game suspension. After talking to the Eagles, the NFL, and the NFLPA, Jalen has decided not to appeal and focus on the Chiefs game, said Carter's agent, Drew Rosenhaus. It's about time. I mean, literally 5 days since the incident is way too long, in my opinion, to give us a verdict, but at least he's not going to be suspended, and he's only going to be fined exactly the same amount of money he makes in a game check, $57,000. So I think it's a fair verdict, and it's a great verdict for the Philadelphia Eagles, and finally they give us a decision. What Jalen Carter did was inexcusable and honestly horrible to watch. No arguing that. But he wasn't involved in some crazy car accident or gamble on an NFL game or any of the other recent acts committed by players that warranted a multiple game suspension. Plus, I mean, come on. He didn't play a snap versus the Dallas Cowboys, and that alone should be punishment enough. As far as the internal punishment, Vic Fangio did say today that Carter's actions are going to have to speak a lot louder than words going forward, but defer to Nick Sirianni on any sort of internal punishment.
To be considered a leader, actions speak louder than words, and he's got to lead through his actions.
Do you speak to him, or do you leave that to Nick and Howie?
Pretty much Nick on that, when it gets to that extreme, pretty much that.
In the end, Jalen Carter will play versus the Chiefs, whether Philadelphia wants to make him sit a drive or whatever. We're going to have to go ahead and wait and see. But that's going to have a massive impact on the Birds' defensive game plan and preparation as the week progresses. Dallas played well on offense at times versus the Bird defense, but it's so hard to really grade their week one performance without their anchor in the middle. Having Carter back is going to strike literal fear into Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, as remember back during the Super Bowl, Philadelphia never had to blitz Mahomes once because of the pressure that came from the edges and Jalen Carter up the middle. Can we get 1,000 likes on this video for us finally being done with the Jalen Carter saga? Like, it's been absolutely ridiculous waiting 5 days, hearing that they might suspend him, they might not suspend him, and finally, they do the right thing. I'm shocked the NFL did. They do the right thing ahead of the Chiefs game, and now we can focus on beating Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and not worrying about the NFL's decision 5, 6, 7 days later. Football is finally back, and there's no better time to place your picks with Underdog. With Underdog, you just pick higher or lower on 2 or more players' stats for a chance to win real money. And the best part is, Underdog is available in over 30 states, including Missouri, Georgia, and Texas. And on Thursday nights, all season long, just hit the app during halftime to unlock exclusive second-half promos. It's your chance to adjust the game plan and boost your payout. And my picks for this week, how about A.J. Brown higher than 54.5 receiving yards? He's definitely going to have a bounce-back week, so no worries there. Higher for Jihaad, 8.5 receiving yards. That's a crazy one. Jump on it right now. Nolan Smith gets his first sack of the season, higher than 0.5. And how about Travis Kelce? I'm going lower than 51.5 receiving yards because the Birds linebackers are going to shut him down. So sign up with promo code Mott and play $5 to get $50 in bonus funds. So just download the app today and turn every touchdown into a W with Underdog. Now, of course, while everyone was waiting on the Jalen Carter news this past Monday, Howie Roseman decided to make yet another move, pulling off his now 5th trade, this is nuts, since August 17th, less than just 3 weeks ago, acquiring Jaguars running back Tank Bigsby for a conditional 2026 5th-round draft pick and a 6th-rounder as well. And this trade shocked a lot of people, including myself, and has a lot of people arguing about why they made a move for a running back, and I think most people have gotten this one wrong. First off, yes, the initial reports that Philadelphia wanted Bigsby for his return abilities is technically true, as Tank has 11 career kick returns during the regular season for an average of 28.5 yards, plus 2 very impressive longer ones during the preseason in 2025 and 2024. And yes, technically, Philadelphia did have just 1 kick return during the Cowboys game that only netted them up to the 19-yard line. Pair that with the fact that with the new return rules, the average starting field position after a kickoff was the highest in the NFL Week 1 since 2000, meaning that the argument that Tank was only traded for his kick return abilities actually makes some sense.
As I watch film across the league the last couple of years, he's popped up a lot in Jacksonville in terms of those big 40-yard chunk runs. Obviously, being a running back, he has that natural vision and feel when it comes to returning the ball. So obviously very excited for anybody that we get on our roster to work with them. But again, it's more just getting him into a place. There's a lot that happens for a guy that gets traded, outside of this building, but to get him into a calm place, get him caught up with everything we want to do here and, see his talents excel on Sunday.
But do you think Howie Roseman simply sent away 2 draft picks for a running back the second week of the season just to improve the Birds' starting field position? I'm not buying it that much. Now, sure, Will Shipley has a rib injury, although we don't know technically how long he will be out, but rumors are saying it could be a couple of weeks. But the Bigsby signing is less about Shipley, and I think more about A.J. Dillon and Tank himself, with Dillon seemingly falling to the RB3 spot on the depth chart because Will Shipley was RB2 until he got hurt versus the Cowboys, and the former Jaguar being a very impressive runner, averaging 4.6 yards per rush, 3.74 after contact in 2024. Plus, of course, he got 7 touchdowns that same season. Bigsby is a serious threat out of the backfield and clearly makes Philadelphia better. I think right now he instantly is the RB2 behind Saquon Barkley entering this week versus the Chiefs and could stay there even when Will Shipley returns. But overall, the main takeaway here is that Howie Roseman continues to showcase his newfound philosophy from a couple of years ago. Make sure your season is not derailed by any possible injury by any means possible. Roseman likely watched Shipley going down week 1 and realized that if the same were to happen to Saquon Barkley, the Birds' rushing attack would be in big trouble, potentially hindering their Super Bowl repeat chances. And I've said this before, but Howie clearly believes Philadelphia can repeat this season, and if trading away a 5th and 6th round pick in 2026 is the cost to make sure the running back position is as deep as possible and ensure that repeat, the Birds GM, as we just saw, will clearly do whatever it takes and pull the trigger. Howie Roseman is never satisfied. It's what makes him, I think, the best GM in the National Football League. Not all the crazy ski mask Howie season moves, which obviously are a big deal, but all the moves that other GMs are not willing to make. Look at the Kansas City Chiefs right now. The Chiefs need a running back, and yet Brett Veach didn't call the Jacksonville Jaguars and make a trade for Tank Bigsby. They're going to roll out Kareem Hunt and whoever else they have there in the backfield, whereas Howie, always proactive, always making sure that there's a next man up mentality, and the next man up is better than what they currently had. Now, staying with Howie leaving no stone unturned, and I can see y'all commenting now, listen, Thomas, if he's that focused on bolstering every position, why hasn't he signed a new cornerback? And honestly, that's fair. I mean, Isaiah Rodgers, perhaps Howie's biggest mistake of the offseason, last night versus the Bears, allowed 2 catches for 13 yards. Pretty impressive. And while Roseman, yes, did make a move earlier in the offseason for Jacorian Bennett, it's pretty clear that letting Rodgers walk was definitely a big mistake. But then on Monday, as I mentioned, Philadelphia worked out nickel cornerback Mike Hilton, a savvy slot veteran who could signal a change on the outside, with Cooper DeJean going from the slot to full-time CB2. And that idea was fun, made a ton of sense, until Nick Sirianni, during his press conference on Monday, kind of poured some cold water on that fire.
Again, flexibility to be able to move him around. We'll see what we do with that, how that goes. But I do believe that he's one of the better players at his position in the NFL, and so we'll just keep repping him at different things and continuing to rep him at nickel and prepare him at that position.
Preferably, we want to keep him at nickel.
Oh, and in case you're wondering if an internal change at cornerback could happen this week, well, Vic Fangio on Tuesday did confirm, at least technically, that Adoree Jackson is expected to start this coming weekend versus the Chiefs.
Plan to have Adoree start this week against Kansas City.
Right now, yes. He just got to make sure he's a master technician and not let his technique falter. They have good receivers, and if you don't go about your job the right way from a technique standpoint, those good receivers become impossible to cover.
And then the nail in the coffin was the fact that Philadelphia worked out Hilton and then didn't sign him at all. He remains a free agent. Plus, we actually found out that Philadelphia worked out a ton of players on Monday alongside Hilton, including wide receiver KJ Osborne, edge Isaiah Foskey, Jamin Davis, Ladarius Henderson, Kareem Telford, and wait for it, former Eagle wide receiver Quez Watkins. More on Quez Watkins in a second. That one's weird, but I think the fact that Mike Hilton worked out, wasn't the only person working out, and then did not get a contract means the whole Mike Hilton, nickel cornerback dream is dead for at least now. What's not dead is my training camp Hail Mary trade for Browns cornerback Denzel Ward, who got Birds fans fired up this morning on Twitter after it was announced that the Browns restructured his contract. Of course, let me just say, restructuring a contract does not mean the Browns are going to trade Denzel Ward, but doing it after week 1 of the NFL season is a very odd thing to do, sometimes indicating a trade, hence all the hype, at least a little bit on Twitter, about a Denzel Ward move. Trade or not, Denzel Ward is considered a top 5 cornerback in the NFL. which Philadelphia got to witness firsthand when Cleveland came to the NovaCare complex last month for joint practices. And we already know that Howie Roseman tried to make a massive splash for Micah Parsons, and Ward would be an actual position of need and obviously a lot cheaper. As Bill Barnwell noted last month that Denzel Ward, 28, is still one of the league's top corners. But teams do not want to send significant draft capital for even great corners after they've signed veteran extensions. Darius Slay and Jalen Ramsey both failing to land even a second-round pick for their teams when they were traded around the same age. Listen, I'll just say it, there might be a better chance that Quez Watkins gets signed, again more on him in a second, than Howie trades for Ward, mainly due to the fact that Cleveland probably wants to keep their best defensive player outside of Myles Garrett. But let me just ask Browns fans this. What happens if Cleveland wakes up in a few weeks and finds themselves, say, 2-6, and their phone starts ringing and it's Howie Roseman? Would you at least answer the call and see what Howie was offering? I would. As far as Watkins is concerned, though, I'm good on bringing back the former speedster and I guess at one point the number 2 or number 3 receiver on this unit. Honestly, crazy how far we've come. Watkins spent time with the Cardinals last season, in case you're wondering where he's been, but was released due to an injury settlement and never played a snap. In fact, the last time he actually played was in an Eagles uniform, and we all know how that turned out. So no, don't even ask me. I am out on Quez Watkins. I'm good on that, but it is kind of odd. Philadelphia works out another receiver in Watkins and another receiver in KJ Osborne. Are they trying to tell us that the receiver core maybe is a little bit more banged up than they were initially letting on? And of course, I'm talking about A.J. Brown here because we're all wondering why he only got one target. Talked about the film yesterday where he looked like he was a little bit slow. Although this whole idea that A.J. Brown is potentially injured, so they have to work out Quez Watkins, that math just doesn't add up. I mean, if you needed receivers, then why did Howie Roseman release training camp standout Elijah Cooks, who worked out the entire offseason with the Birds, from the practice squad yesterday? It's honestly pretty confusing. Maybe Howie Roseman is just, working out everybody because, as I mentioned earlier, he leaves no stone unturned. But Quez Watkins, KJ Osborne, very odd there. I don't think the A.J. Brown injury is serious. I've said that time and time again. Maybe he's not 100%, but you still have Jahan Dotson, Devontae Smith, Darius Cooper. Hello. Focus on those guys instead of worrying about what Quez Watkins has been doing the past 2 seasons. Now, speaking of things that other teams should worry about, and did you realize that the highest graded pass rusher in the entire NFL from week 1 was none other than Philadelphia's Josh Uche? I mean, put me down as someone who did not expect that, as Uche registered a 48.3% pass rush win rate, over 5 percentage points higher than number 2 Nick Bonito, number 3 Trey Hendrickson from week 1. And Uche only played 19 snaps, a massive drop-off from Nolan Smith's 52 and Jelix Hunt's 39. But he did register a team-high 4 pressures and got oh so close to Dak Prescott all evening long. If Uche can keep this up, he is clearly going to need a lot more snaps. Question I have, though, is how's the rotation going to look because the Eagles just added another very impressive pass rusher in former Lions Darius Smith.
We'll see. Like we said earlier, don't really know what Zadarius brings or doesn't bring. Uche got in there a few snaps the other night and did some good stuff. So we're feeling better about it.
I said on Friday, I said on Monday, it's week 1. You can only overreact to so many things. But if we get the Josh Uche from week 1 versus the Dallas Cowboys, the rest of the season, I think Philadelphia might have the biggest steal of the entire 2024 free agent class because Uche is costing them less than $4 million a year. He's virtually free. And yet if he comes out here and gives us that performance plus some sacks, getting 5, 6, 10 sacks this season, oh my goodness, Howie, talk about ski mask season, an absolute diamond in the rough. Now, concluding with some more diamonds in the rough, and the week 1 grades are officially finally all out. And how about some game balls to none other than Jalen Hurts for having top 4 numbers in completion percentage, QBR, CPOE, EPA generated, and success rate. With a jaw-dropping 82% completion percentage, clearly the diamond on that list. Likewise, not to be outdone, how about Eagles rookie Jihaad Campbell? Mentioned him a little bit on my Friday recap, but he might have been the best defender on the field versus the Cowboys, registering 3 tackles, 1 forced fumble, and only, most importantly, 1 reception allowed, making him the highest graded defender in the game by PFF on Thursday night, which caused The Athletic to note, and I think I agree here, Philadelphia, at least right now, might have the best linebacker tandem in the entire NFL this season.
You didn't ask me about him, so I got to say Jihaad Campbell and Zach Bond. I mean, this is going to be the best linebacking duo in the NFL. The things those 2 guys do, I looked at maybe 3 or 4 plays where there are only 5 linebackers in the entire NFL that can do what they did. So I had to get that in there because that was one of my most exciting parts about reviewing this film. Zach Bond and Jihaad Campbell are awesome.
So, when I think of tandems over the last, let's say, 15 years, Pittsburgh had some tandems, Baltimore had them, San Francisco had them. You think the Eagles are entering one of those zones for the next couple of years?
Yeah, listen, it's one game for Campbell, and there's some stuff, when he's coming downhill, when offensive linemen get their hands on him, those reps weren't great, but the rep he had going down the middle of the field with the pass breakup and saving a touchdown. That's just uncommon for an NFL linebacker. So I think the potential is there for that type of tandem. And Zach Bond looked pretty much exactly like he looked last year. Just such a smart player who plays with great effort and great athleticism. Really fun to watch those guys after some of the linebackers. No disrespect. We've watched in recent years. Those guys are a treat to watch.
Jihaad Campbell should have been a top 15 draft pick, and the injury concerns, which never really manifested, they were not injury concerns at all during training camp, allowed him to fall to 31. Philadelphia grabs him, unites him with Vic Fangio and Zach Bond, and the rest is history right now. If he continues this, and the trend goes like this, much like Cooper DeJean and Jalix Hunt, and obviously Quinn and Mitchell had last season, oh my gosh, linebacker has become the Birds' strongest, most impressive point in the entire defensive system, something that we have wanted for years in Philadelphia. It's just so exciting to see. Now, before we go ahead and finish, got to mention the winner of the Jordan Spector art giveaway, which, by the way, let me know in the comments section if you guys want me to do more of these giveaways, because I do jerseys, we do tickets, but you guys seem to be loving this sort of art piece, and so hopefully some more coming soon. That winner, randomly selected, as usual, was at FoshOGames3724. So, Fosh, go down below in my description box, send me an email, prove it's you. All the details are there. I'll get it sent out ASAP. And, of course, subscribe for more giveaways. And watch out for scammers. I only announce winners here on the actual show. Plenty of stuff happening the next couple of days and weeks. We're going to practice on Wednesday, breakdown on Thursday, live on Wednesday night. We're staying busy here as week 2 rolls along. I'm Thomas Mott. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.